Hi there. In this business topic video, we're going to take a look at another of the main motivational theorists. We're going to take a look at Herzberg, who became well known for his two-factor theory of employee motivation at work. Of course, Herzberg is just one of several well-known motivational theorists that you're likely to cover in your studies, including Taylor and his scientific management and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But in this video, we're just going to take a look at Herzberg, explain a little bit more about his background, and then take a look at the two different ways in which he thought employees should be managed based around their need for motivation at work. Like many of the motivational theorists, Herzberg was actually a psychologist because, of course, motivation is intrinsically linked to the idea of what motivates a certain type of behavior at work, what gives people the will to work and to work hard and to work well. But Herzberg's specialism was also in business management, the psychology of business management. And he came along later than Taylor, whose scientific management approach you may have come across. And Herzberg very much disagreed with Taylor's view of the world. Taylor, of course, if you remember from scientific management, was all about financial rewards. He believed that money alone was the motivating factor, and it linked on to the concept of piece rate, paying people for what they made. Herzberg took a different view. His studies convinced him that actually there were many more factors that were much more important than money, and in particular a series of non-financial factors, motivators, that were the key to success when it comes to motivating your staff. Herzberg divided his factors into two, hence the name two-factor theory. He identified a series of what he called motivators. These were the factors that actually did in his opinion, motivate people to work hard at work. And he also identified a series of factors that he considered to be what he called hygiene factors. What he meant by this was that these are factors which, if they are not present, they will demotivate employees. However, simply by being present was not enough on their own to be motivators. So the key thing about hygiene factors to remember is that if they're not there in the workplace, they can be demotivating. If they are there, they're not enough on their own to be motivating factors. Herzberg believed that there were other factors that were more important than that. So let's just briefly mention what these motivators and hygiene factors were. Looking at the factors that Herzberg thought did motivate people at work, he was basically looking at the non-financial approach. So, for example, giving employees significantly more responsibility at work in their job role was a way to motivate them, as was designing their job and giving them work that they found fulfilling and perhaps challenging and rewarding, not just from a financial point of view. And Herzberg also stressed the importance of recognizing achievement, recognizing when employees were performing well and contributing to the business success. He thought all of those were factors that had the potential to motivate people at work. Whereas the hygiene factors, these were the factors that businesses simply had to get right. They had to be there. And if they weren't there in the right way, then they would have the effect of being demotivating. So, for example, if you hear about a workforce that is said to be demotivated, Herzberg would argue that this is likely to be due to the absence of satisfactory hygiene factors. For example, the pay may be significantly below what employees expect or believe they should be given. The working conditions are inappropriate, not up to standard, or not good enough for what they expect. Or perhaps there's some kind of deficiency in the way that the business is managed, perhaps a lack of clear guidance and management guidance around supervision, company policies, health and safety and what have you. If those factors are not involved or not in place in the business, Herzberg argued they would have the effect of being demotivating. So what are the implications? Well, if you accept Herzberg's analysis here of the two factors, then there are two things that management and leadership need to do. Firstly, they need to ensure that the motivators are in place. And secondly, they need to ensure that those hygiene factors are met. A key approach, as far as Herzberg is concerned, to motivation is ensuring that the hygiene factors are not there demotivating the staff. Because, of course, it could be that you're doing one, but not the other. You're trying to motivate using motivators, but you haven't got the basics right in terms of those hygiene factors. Just looking at those motivators in a little bit more detail, there were two in particular that Herzberg would have supported and did support. One was a concept that you may have come across called job enrichment. And what this essentially means is that your job has more depth to it. It has a wider variety of tasks and activities rather than just doing the same thing day in, day out. Job enrichment occurs when a job is given greater challenge, some greater complexity about the role. But it also arises when those who are doing the job feel as though they're in control of their workload, that they can manage it, and that they get the sense of reward, the personal satisfaction from achieving a job well done. Job enrichment, Herzberg absolutely believed, was a source of motivation. And it follows also from that this concept of empowerment is also a potentially powerful motivator. Empowerment essentially involves giving employees some control over decision making, some authority to make decisions within certain limits. And if you give people at work responsibility and autonomy, it's often said that they're more likely to be motivated. Another way of doing that, of course, is to provide less supervision, not to be standing over their shoulder watching them the whole time, to trust them to do their job well. Herzberg would absolutely be a supporter of the concept of empowerment as a potentially powerful motivator at work. So Herzberg was a big fan of motivators, but he said the hygiene factors are also the thing to look out for. Make sure that you pay people properly and that the working conditions are adequate. Otherwise, everything else may be of no effect if hygiene factors are not present. That's been a brief overview of Herzberg's two-factor theory. Hopefully you found it useful. Thank you.